If the Republicans can't do business with Joe Biden, I mean, he's a centrist, maybe center-left Republican.
Welcome to this week's Wacky Moments of Leftist Extremism. As long as you're promoting Democrats, there's nothing wrong with some sloppy fake news or even some fake history. In fact, they just disregard time and space and facts and change things, especially following Biden's disaster of a town hall this week where he spoke some mistruths.
The biggest thing, though, as you remember, when you and I shouldn't say it that way, as you remember, but when you and I talked last, we talked about it's one thing to have the vaccine, which we didn't have when we came into office, but a vaccinator. How do you get the vaccine into someone's arm?
Really? Because it looks like you're getting your vaccine here, Joe. And what's the date on that? Oh, yeah. But the big three networks, they all refuse to actually fact-check the president in any of their coverage. They avoided giving any coverage on his vaccine claim. And even though Joe had once said schools would open by April, well, you know, they gave him some cover there, too.
Remember, he pledged in December that a majority of schools would be open by late April, his first 100 days mark. Then he tweaked that to say he's focused just on kindergarten through 8th grade.
Oh, I see. He didn't lie. He tweaked that. It's interesting. It seemed the previous administration was always telling lies, but this is completely different. This is a tweak.
Then he tweaked that.
Or as NBC put it when questioning the VP the next day, it's not a lie, but a
shifting timeline here. Back on December 8th, the then president-elect tweeted, we want to reopen the majority of schools in the first 100 days. He later said that day, we want to have most schools open. Now he said as recently as last night, he's talking about the majority of K through 8 schools.
Oh, I see. It's a shifting timeline.
Shifting timeline here.
And it's amazing how facts and history, they can all change under a Democratic administration. History practically rewrites itself. Over on MSNBC, they warped history once again, now claiming that Georgia Democrat Raphael Warnock is the first black senator from the South since Reconstruction. Of course, this would have to ignore Republican Senator Tim Scott ever existing or getting elected, but hey, you know, facts, those things aren't necessary. It's MSNBC.
You know, how worried should Senator Warnock be?
Well, I think that what Senator Warnock, the historic Senator Warnock, should focus on is what his legacy is. What does he need to accomplish in the United States Senate? Where have there been shortcomings because the South has not had a black senator since Reconstruction?
Host Craig Melvin did not issue any correction on this, which is surprising because he has such a rich history of calling Senator Tim Scott a token.
Because you are the only black Republican senator. Some have said that your party is using you. They've even thrown around the word token as well.
I'm sure Melvin experienced a
shifting timeline.
Forgot about his previous conversations with Scott being a black senator.
Because the South has not had a black senator since Reconstruction.
Only Democrats can be historically important in a positive way, right? Perhaps you may want to drop a line to Verizon, let them know about the factless fantasy programming that claims to be news that they advertise on. Now, over on CNN this week, the space-time continuum gets even more warped, and we are taken now to an alternate dimension, where government-funded baby-killing Joe Biden, who wants more gun control and less border control, well, he's basically, he's a Republican. What, you didn't know that?
If the Republicans can't do business with Joe Biden, I mean, he's a centrist, maybe center-left Republican who has made his mark in Washington for decades on reaching across the aisle.
Reaching right across that aisle and grabbing a pen to sign over 30 executive orders in less than 30 days in office because he can work with GOP members in Congress so darn well.
Joe Biden, I mean, he's a centrist, maybe center-left Republican.
Yeah, and while Biden is now enjoying his Republican status, CNN is busy picking apart real Republicans, especially over a tweet, hitting it for its historic accuracy, because clearly leftist media, as we've shown, know all about history. Nikki Haley had a nerve to say George Washington turned ragtag troops into an unstoppable army this week. And CNN came back at you with the real history.
Haley wrote this: George Washington turned an army of ragtag troops into an unstoppable force that defeated the British and secured America's independence. As president, he oversaw the creation of our Constitution and showed the world what it looks like to govern by the people and for the people. Only problem is, that's not at all how things went down. And presidential historian Alex Coe called her out on it. Coe wrote a biography of George Washington called You Never Forget Your First, and she's with us now to talk about this. So just fact check the tweet for us.
I mean, it's hard to know where to begin. It's 280 characters and a whole lot of errors. So from the very beginning, the Continental Army was not unstoppable. As we know, it was almost 8 years of fighting the revolution, and the British had the most powerful navy in the entire world. We barely had them both. There were many times when it looked like we were going to lose. We were definitely not unstoppable.
I mean, the proof is they are not alive now, and if they were here, then they'd really be unstoppable. What is unstoppable is the shamelessness of the leftist media. Now, I'd be remiss this week if I didn't mention the great, great loss of Rush Limbaugh. The gleeful leftist coverage of his passing was disgusting on both the major news and the leftist cable outfits. But it may be best summed up with a quick look at the coverage offered by CBS News.
His critics have labeled him a misogynist, racist, homophobic, and always pushing an us versus them mentality.
He also paved the path for a Donald Trump presidency, a combination of showmanship, bombast, gleefulness, and at times bigotry and prejudice.
And for history's sake, let's just compare that to CBS's coverage of Hustler publisher Larry Flynt's passing less than a week before.
Flint died of heart failure in Los Angeles. He was 78 years old. Love him or hate him, he was a controversial figure, but he really did change the way people thought about the First Amendment.
That's absolutely true. He was also, I mean, it's interesting, he opposed the death penalty. He favored same-sex marriage. He spoke out against the U.S. invasion of Iraq. Politically, he was very progressive.
You see, Rush is labeled a misogynist. The porno publisher, he's just a controversial figure. And only one had any impact on the lives of CBS anchors.
He was not what you might think that Larry Flynt was going to be.
Yeah.
Some reader of Hustler left a copy in a construction site when I was 10 near my friend's house.
What'd you do with it?
And it changed my life forever.
Did it?
And here you are on CBS's morning.
How about that? Yeah, there they are, right there on CBS. I'm sure they're so proud of themselves. I'm Eric Shiner from MRC-TV. Please visit mrc-store.com for great pro-America gear. Visit mrctv.org for more great stories and videos. Please like, share, and subscribe to these videos on the social media platform of your choice. We are out there. And we'll be back again with some more media extremism next week.